Welcome to another episode of the Dental Insiders with your hosts, Michael Dunn and Matthew Petchel. Dental Insiders is a podcast for dentists, dental team members, and industry professionals. We'll share stories and lessons from clinicians and industry visionaries with the goal of providing an entertaining and informative look at the industry we share. Our guest today is Dr. Len Tau.
None other than
the infamous Len Tau.
One and only. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Len Tau. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for getting up early in the morning with us. Is it really that?
I was going to say thanks for staying up.
Staying up late with us.
Yes. It's all a matter of perspective.
First of all, Leonard Tau. Before I met you, when I heard your name, you're not the picture of the guy that I thought it was going to be. Tau seems like a name that goes with a guy who runs a noodle shop or something.
Or an ancient Asian philosopher.
I think that's much better. What is the origin of the name Tau?
Well, it's funny, very funny you asked me that. Ever since I was a little boy, I would walk into people's homes or I would go into places and they would say to me, you're not I didn't expect you to look this way. And I was like, it took me a long time to figure out what they meant. And, I've always been, everybody thought, well, you're not Asian. And I'm not. I have no Asian in my blood at all. And I still remember, growing up, people would say it all the time to me. And I like to use this example. I used to work in Lansdale, Pennsylvania in a group practice. And Lansdale is the home of Merck Pharmaceuticals. And there's a lot of Asian scientists at Merck. And they would come into my office and my name would be on the sign, but my picture wasn't anywhere. And they would come in and they would want to see an Asian dentist. And I would walk in the room at their hygiene check. And when I walk in the room and they would say, hi, this is Dr. Leonard Tau, their jaw would just drop. And they would literally not ever come back again because they thought I was Asian. And so I've been getting that ever since I was a little boy. My grandparents are from Russia and Hungary and Poland and Austria. So it was probably shortened from something. Taubin, Tawiski, yeah. But it's not Asian. Definitely not Asian.
Yep.
So you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yep. And I think we maybe should think about changing Len's name. He probably isn't really.
I don't think he's thinking about that.
No, I am. No,
you are. Yeah.
I like Tauitsky.
I think
Tauser.
I think he's managed to
survive
to pull success out of disappointing patients.
You're right.
Well, I actually put my photo in everything now that's related to my dental practice to avoid that problem. People still call and say, is he Asian? I still get that a lot.
Yeah. So perception and reality. There's probably a whole podcast on that.
There is.
It's not this one though.
It will be in a future one.
So let's get started. Give us that practice profile we like to start with. Give people a sense of where you are, what part of the country, the number of chairs, and what kind of practice you run.
I have a fee-for-service solo doctor, so I'm the only doctor. I've got 5 team members, 3 dental assistants, 1 full-time hygienist, 1 part-time hygienist, 1 front desk person. Like I said, fee-for-service, high quality. No, I do not participate with any insurance at all. But I do cosmetic, general, implant, restorative dentistry. But I am glad I have no insurance participation. I do accept the assignment of benefit as a form of payment, but I balance bill everything. If I want to give a patient a discount, great. If I don't like him, I want to charge him double, I do. So I don't have a reason why I choose my pricing, and if it's the way I like it, I don't have to worry about dealing with insurances, which is why I have 1 front desk person. I don't have to struggle with contracted fees, and I like the independence that I have, and I've been very lucky to build a practice in a very heavily insurance heavy practice, heavy area. Philadelphia is very HMO and PPO heavy, and I stick out like a sore thumb in a good way, because my practice is very different.
Did you start that way? So your practice, were you always fee for service, and did you start your practice from scratch, or did you buy into something?
I bought a practice from a dentist who unfortunately committed suicide. Actually, wow. almost 10 years ago now, and his practice was the same way from day one. So I bought it and I kept it that way. I didn't change it in any way, shape, or form.
So. Wow, that's interesting, because we often hear this this legend or urban myth or whatever about dentists and suicide. So that leads perfectly into the next question. So when you were a boy growing up, did you always want to be a dentist?
Well, my dad was a dentist, and growing up, I would his office. He had two offices, one in New York City and one in Rockland County, where I grew up. And the entire plan was for me when I became a dentist was to take over one of his practices. But when I was growing up, I would walk downstairs in I like to call it the basement. My dad doesn't like that term. The lower level of my house. He had an office down there, and I'd walk downstairs and watch him do dentistry, and he would change people's lives, and I would walk, and it was something that I just felt it was in my blood to do. And he would change smiles, and people would cry in the office, and they would hug him, and it just really touched me. And I said, this is what I want to do. My entire plan was to take over his New York City practice, but my dad developed an osteogenic sarcoma, which is a form of cancer in his knee, and had to sell the New York practice actually prior to me being even in dental school. It was in 2001 in college. So I lied. 1991, prior to me even being in dental school. And so I had no opportunity to take that practice over, which is kind of how I ended up in Philadelphia in the first place. So that my paths changed partially because of that as well. But no, I kind of knew very early in my life that I was going to be a dentist.
And how early? Like from 5, 6 years old or adolescent? I mean, when was your first memory of kind of realizing that your father was changing lives, as you put it?
Well, I still remember. I think I was about 5 years old, and I walked downstairs, and my dad had a very good technique of numbing patients up. He would actually shake their lip pretty significantly. And I still remember the very first time I walked down, and I was not a good dental patient. My dad actually wouldn't treat me. He sent me to a pedodontist because I was a bad dental patient. But one of the first times I walked downstairs, I saw him vigorously shaking a patient's face, trying to numb them up. And I thought that's what happened when you numb someone up. So I refused Novocaine for a very long time because of that. And but I realized as I obviously got older that was the reason how he became giving painless needles. And so that was my very first remember. So maybe I was 5 years old. And I just, my dad worked a lot, and he wasn't around as much as I wanted him to be. But I knew that he was a great dentist, and it's something I wanted to do. So very early I wanted to do that. But I remember my mom worked in my dad's office, and my mom passed away about 11 years ago now. And but my mom had always said that originally I was going to go into practice with him, but if I was going to become a dentist and go work with him, I was selling myself to the devil, and because we have a great relationship, but we would not work well together in the same practice. And so I think it's better that I am in Philadelphia and he's in New York. But yeah, I knew from very early that I would become a dentist.
Yeah. I think sadly the days of the dentist working out of their house are gone. And I grew up as a kid with that. The guy lived upstairs and practiced downstairs. And it's kind of actually comforting to me. But these days, I don't think most people would find it comforting.
No, but I think that there's, like you said, it's dwindling. I've seen a couple of practices that are still like that, but it's rare.
So actually, we'll say anyone out there listening, if you're a dentist who practices out of your house, we want to
talk to you.
Yeah, because it's a different version of being a dentist.
It's maybe a little bit of Americana, if you will.
Maybe a slice of Americana that we want a snapshot of.
We do.
Let's get that snapshot. Okay, so I know you pretty well, Len, and you're always a pretty upbeat person. I consider you to be a positive. Now, who knows? At home, you could be, miserable watching Breaking Bad and doing other strange things. But no, you're seeing a positive person. Tell me what inspires you? Because I know that the profession sometimes is a drag, and sometimes the keeping up with the technology and dealing with the patients and the insurance and all that stuff can be a drag. What inspires you to kind of keep going every day?
What inspires me? Well, my family. I have a wonderful wife. I have a great son. My son is kind of like a mini me. He's into technology like I am. He's into tennis like I am. He loves tennis. He's a great little kid. He's literally, if you saw him and he talks like I do, and he's all into everything like me. It's really funny. I don't think he looks like me as much. I think he looks like the postman, but that's beside the point. No, I'm just joking.
Does he look Asian by any chance?
But anyway, obviously my family does, running a dental practice and doing my trade shows as I do, and lecturing and teaching dentists, not at home as much as I want to. And I actually had mentioned my dad was not around as much, and I told myself I would not be like my dad in that sense. But, I'm trying to balance everything I'm doing now with my family life, and it's a little difficult now. Being only 42 and wanting to do stuff now and not wanting to do things when I'm 50 or 60, like some dentists, unfortunately, are not good business people, and they have to work until they're 70 or 80 because they can't afford to stop working. I don't want to be like that. And so what inspires me, I mean, I love educating. I love helping people. I love, changing their lives as well. And I'm very fortunate. I wake up every single day excited to go to work, which is not something everybody can do. I mean, I talk to people and they're bored. They're unexcited about going to work. I mean, I can honestly tell you that I wake up every day excited to go to work. I love what I do. I'm very fortunate. I have two professions that I actually am extremely, extremely excited about. I mean, I couldn't be happier with what I've chosen. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
And do you find the inspiration just inside? You just kind of wake up and you're just,
or do you find the inspiration from your being an entrepreneur? Because you talked about you have two different professions going on. You don't want to work until you're 80. I mean, is it that?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think it's a combination of being an entrepreneur. I think it's a combination of helping people. I think it's a combination of enjoying what I do. I think it's my personality. I think I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. I used to worry about everything. I was just a worrier. And, and honestly, right now it's like, okay, it is what it is. Things happen. And, I actually took a class many years ago, and Roger Levin gave it. And I was maybe a year or two out of dental school. And he said, 98% of the decisions in life should be decided in about 2 seconds. And literally the other 2% of the decisions may take you 5 minutes to make or 10 minutes. But 98% of the decisions should be that fast. You shouldn't even worry about them. And that's how I live my life. I mean, it's I make a nice living. If I want to go out and buy something, I buy it. It shouldn't be that hard to decide things. And that's how I live my life, but I wake up every morning and I'm excited. I don't stay in bed. I like to sleep. I'm not going to deny that. When I can relax, I relax. But I work there's not a day goes by that I don't work. And I started that very young. I started a baseball card business when I was 13 years old. I mean, I've always been working.
So you're an entrepreneur, no question. What about other dentists? Are dentists naturally entrepreneurs?
No. And unfortunately, as a dentist, I'm allowed to say that. No, most dentists are not good business people. And that's why a lot of dentists struggle with running a business. They have to hire consultants, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think hiring a consultant is good, but I also think that if most dentists have no clue how to run a business, and that's a problem. And because you know what, they don't teach you business in school. They give you no business classes in dental school. They don't. They zero. And when I was just at the AAO meeting and I met a lot of dental students, and they've actually emailed me saying, can you do like a webinar during one of our classes to teach us what you know? They need this and they don't get it.
Right. So let's talk about that, because let's talk about the entrepreneurial part, because you run your business successfully, and you're also sort of the GM for the dental vertical of Bird Eye, which does reputation marketing. So tell us about that part now, because I think our listeners would find, well, reputation marketing is obviously huge, has grown significantly over the last couple of years to involve, all the things, the listings, the consistent listings, and the reviews and everything. Tell us, first of all, tell us why is reputation marketing important?
I think it's the most important way you can market your business nowadays. When you do any type of search online with location attached to it, reviews are the first thing that you see. So if you do a dentist in your zip code, dentist in your town, dentist near me, the map listings come up first, other than the advertisements or the ads, the paid advertisements. And you see there the number of reviews an office has and the rating. And you see Yelp reviews, and you see all these reviews are just shoved in your face. And we're a review society. Everything you do now revolves around reviews. You go to a movie, it's reviewed. You go to a restaurant, it's reviews. So I think that people trust them now like never before. I mean, studies show that 80% of people read online reviews and they trust them as much as personal recommendations. So in the past, and let's talk about when my dad was in his heyday, who's your dentist? Dr. Len Tau. Well, okay, what's his phone number? And they just called the office. That's how it was. Nowadays, well, now they actually go online and say, okay, reviews about Dr. Morton Tau, and they'll go ahead and read them before they actually call the office. So times have really changed. So if you don't have reviews, and I always show at my seminars, I show a slide. Business 1 has 5 reviews, 3 bad and 2 good. Business 2 has no reviews, and business 3 has 10 reviews, 10 good, 0 bad. Which one are you going to pick? Well, nobody picks the business with no reviews, none. And some pick the business with 2 bad reviews, which I think bad reviews are actually good for the business. And then obviously many pick the business with no bad reviews. So I think reviews are like a vital part of business. And if you ignore them, you're in trouble. If you don't do it, you're way behind the 8 ball. So I think
Can you survive without doing reviews these days?
I don't think so. I think you have to be doing it, or you're going to be left behind the 8 ball. And Google uses a huge ranking factor in search. And if you don't do them, you're not going to rank, and you're not visible. You ain't get the patients.
And are dentists picking up on that? I mean, hospitality, you mentioned, hotels and restaurants was very quick to pick up on this. And you do this, you're at trade shows talking to dentists all the time. You're at seminars talking to dentists. Are they getting it that if they don't, if they're not paying attention to this, they're going to be left behind?
More and more dentists are, and I'm not egotistical in any way, shape, or form. I'm just a guy who I think got lucky in the path they chose. I'm good at what I do. But when I give seminars, I have dentists come up to me and tell me it's like they never ever have heard such good information in a short period of time. Like, my seminars are chock full of information, and I know my topics very well. But dentists understand it partially because, companies like Demand Force and Smile Reminder and Revenue Well, and, they get reviews, but they don't really go to the sites that matter. So they understand the review concept, but they don't understand that those microsites that they create patients don't believe them, or there's not enough credibility on them to get the new patients. The reviews have to go to the sites that matter, which are, Google, Yelp, Facebook. Those are the big 3 that reviews need to be on, because those are the most visible on Google, or on Google search.
Right. Give us a tip. Give us a nugget from your seminar. What's the number one tip? Somebody listening out there, there's a percentage that are already doing this, and then there's a percentage that are not. What's your best tip for somebody that can make them go, okay, I need to start doing this, or something they can do quickly and easily?
The easiest way to get reviews is to ask your patients. That's the simplest thing to do is, and the verbiage I like to say is, I hate the word review. I hate the word testimonial. But ask for feedback about their experience in your office. Give them a way to get the review, or to get the feedback to the internet. But if you ask for feedback about their experience and tell them that, you appreciate it, and they're more apt to do it, but you've got to ask. If you don't ask, you ain't going to get it. Right. And don't stress about negative reviews. The quote I like to use is, a bad review may spoil your breakfast, but don't let it spoil your lunch. And because, I think negative reviews are, dentists, like, they shiver and they get so upset when they see a negative review online. The best defense against a negative review is more positives. Mm-hmm. And I think if you have no negatives, I literally saw a practice I was at the pedodontic meeting, AAPD, over Memorial Day in San Antonio. And there was a practice that had 1,100 reviews on Google with no negative, 5.0 stars, no negative. And that's just impossible. So they're bilking the system somehow, and it's just fake. And if you ask patients, if you did a survey, every person that's like an independent person would tell you that those reviews aren't real, because there's nothing negative about it.
Right.
Yeah. I like to say we're dentists. We have a dental practice for a reason. We're not dentists perfect. The dental practice. So things happen. There's insurance issues. There's pain. There's billing issues. It happens. So we're going to have some negativity out there about dentists, and we need to.
Yeah. So I asked for one nugget. I think Len may spit out like 4 or 5.
Several nuggets.
He's a nugget provider.
He's a nuggeteer.
He's a nuggeteer. So let me ask this. So back in the day, your dad, if he wanted they called them testimonials, but let's say, use your words, feedback, which is much better. Your dad wanted feedback. He just literally, the front desk person said, hey, Mrs. Johnson, would you write on this card, or would you say something nice about us? And they would put it in the office somewhere, right? And then it grew to where maybe they were featured in advertisements, or maybe they were featured then on the website and all that. What's a tool? So the Bird Eye is a tool to help automate getting the feedback that you want. How does a dentist go and find a good partner? Because there are, so we're in the industry and we go to the trade shows too. And 5 years ago, there was nobody doing this. And then now there's
every aisle, it seems like
50 companies doing it. And maybe you know better than we do. There may be more than 50. And there's very few actual software companies. There's a lot of resellers of other people's software and all that. How do you find a good partner? How does a dentist find a good partner?
Yeah, so I actually was probably, from a purely reputation standpoint, I had, before Bird Eye purchased me, I was iSocial Reviews, as you probably remember. So I started my own with some help from some other people, and I was probably one of the first people in the industry to go to a trade show and just do reputation. And I grew pretty quickly for just a solo person like myself. But you need to partner with a company that follows the rules, first of all. You have to go with someone who's trustworthy and can, show you the results. You got to see results. You got to ask, show me a client who's using your service. Show me how it works, because you have to see that literally the results. So when I do a demo, I look the person up first. This is what you look like. This is who the person that's using us, and this is how we get there. So, there's far too many companies out there. I'm not naming names. I don't bash any company. Every company does something right. But they don't do it the way that I would do it. They all have like a workaround. But you have to find a company that is doing things legitimately, because there's a lot of companies out there that do it against Google's terms and conditions, and that will get you busted. You have to do it a way that makes it easy for the staff. You want to make it so Bird Eye's automated with 98% of the practice management softwares out there. So we send the messages automatically after their appointments. So the staff interaction is minimal. You want to make it a one-step process, so the patient doesn't have to do a review once and then do it a second time, because they're not going to do it the second time. You have to make it easy, like I said, and automate it. So there's many companies out there, like you said, but most of them either don't post to Google directly, and then it's a two-step process. Most of them don't do anything but post to Google, Yelp, and Facebook, and that's not going to help you either, because you need more than just that as well. So it's really just ask for references, ask for demos of actually how the software works. Have it, like, maybe ask them to send a sample message to you so you can try it out on your own device. Right. And the one thing that you can't do is you don't want to be filling out any type of survey actually in the office on like a computer in the office, which a lot of these companies try to get the patients to do, because then it can't go to Google directly, and then you're relying on the patient to do something from home afterwards, and that certainly is not going to be beneficial to the office, because they're not going anywhere after that.
And that has to do with the IP address. You can't do it from the same IP or something like that?
Right. IP address conflicts in the office. That's what tell Google and Yelp you're bilking the system from the office. Yep. And it's requiring the patient to do something additional from home. And that's why they out of sight, out of mind, it ain't happening.
Right. Another nugget. That was another nugget.
It's Nugget Palooza, as the kids would say.
How do we combine Nugget and Tau? There's a name there.
It's Nugget Tau-tastic.
Yes, it is.
I think, we're almost at the end here.
We're approaching the end, sadly.
I do want to, for our last question, shift gears and ask you to look into the crystal ball and tell us, where is this industry going in the next 10 years?
Well, it's interesting, because I get that question a lot. And as a solo dentist, I'm kind of scared. One is that, the insurance industry is very scary. More and more patients there's less loyalty in dentistry than ever before. Patients are, who've been my patient for 10 years now, and have had like no insurance, or, insurance that I can help them with. And now they get some crappy insurance and they just leave just like that. And some of them have been in my practice in 15 years because they've traveled with me from one office to the next. And they literally just change insurances and they walk out. So I think the insurance industry is very scary right now, because the benefits, as don't change at all. The maximum benefits have stayed the same after 40 or 50 years. But corporate dentistry is taking over, and I don't think corporate dentistry is really a good thing for the industry, because again, they're dropping the pricing, the quality of the dentistry. I'm very concerned with. Knock on wood, the corporate industry has not taken over Philadelphia like it's taken over some of the other areas of the country. Right. There's very little corporate influence in Philadelphia, so I think that's a good thing. But over the country, I'm very concerned with the dental health, because the quality isn't there. The stuff I see in my practice, it's definitely concerning.
Yeah.
So we've got to wrap up here.
Yeah,
we're
going to wrap.
I think there, that some of the messages we've learned is that, you got to stay ahead, not fall behind.
That's one.
There's challenges coming.
They're coming.
And Dr. Tau has shared so many nuggets with us, I won't even try to summarize.
We won't. We'll let the people watch the podcast over and over.
Yes, and over again.
Right, which somehow benefits us, I think, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but we'll find out hopefully. So, Dr. Tau, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental Insiders. And again, thanks, Dr. Len Tau, for joining us. And thank you, our lovely audience, for spending some time with us. And join us next time. Tell your friends and colleagues about the Dental Insiders.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.